After 3 long years of marriage, a hidden millionaire's love is revealed, transforming everything. Sarah stood in the melting sunshine, surrounded by the laughter of children, her heart swelling with an endless love for her kindergarten class. Each crayon-scribbled page brought joy. Yet a weight pressed on her bills, hovering like dark clouds overhead. She loved teaching, but at 32 the financial strain felt relentless. As she opened her front door each evening, expecting to step into her life with Mike, she braced herself. Their conversations once danced with laughter, but lately, they were filled with silence, like a haunting echo of what they used to share. Was it really just about the money? Then the storm came raging through Willow Creek. Clouds erupted, cracking open skies that poured with fury, ripping trees from their roots and drowning houses. It was both terrifying and mesmerizing, watching nature's power unfold. In the aftermath, the damage was catastrophic. Sarah's heart sank as she surveyed the devastation. The very town where every storefront bore stories of community resilience now looked like a war zone. She felt an instinct to help. At a local church, she gathered families, friends, and neighbors, believing that together they could mend the wounds left behind. "We can do this," she urged, her voice both fragile and fierce, as she imagined the hope flickering like candles in a darkened room. And so began the fundraiser, a heartfelt plea that ignited a spark of togetherness. Unbeknownst to her, Mike stood in the shadows, his hands silently wrapped around the edges of the plan he had crafted long before. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. With donations pouring in, the church transformed into a hub of hope, yet the storm raged inside their home. Sarah stumbled upon a letter tucked away where only the shadows whispered secrets. Mike's words spilled across the page, a family fortune hidden away, a wealth he'd never shared. Her heart raced, emotions flaring like flames through her veins. Shattered trust bubbled to the surface. How could he hide this? Had their sacrifices all been in vain? That night, they sat opposite each other, the cracks in their marriage quaking beneath the strain of revelation. Mike's silence felt deafening. "Why didn't you tell me?" Sarah's voice trembled as anger and hurt collided, each word a slap against the facade of their love. The world outside had darkened, but within their hearts, an even greater storm raged. This was a reckoning not just about money, but worth, meaning, love. Could they bridge the chasm between them? Or would these unspoken truths tear them apart? The flicker of despair ignited a whisper of hope. Maybe this messy confrontation could rebuild what was breaking, laced with lessons on sacrifice and devotion. Her heart thudded in her chest, teetering on the precipice of doubt. Would they weather this storm together, or let it devour everything? As their eyes locked, Sarah felt the weight of unspoken love promising to fight against all odds. What would the dawn bring to their shattered world? Dawn broke over Willow Creek, casting a soft glow that filtered through the heavy clouds hanging in the sky. Sarah awoke, her thoughts churning. It wasn't just Mike's silence that haunted her. It was what lay beneath a whirlpool of love, betrayal, and hidden truths swirling around them. She recollected the letter, Mike's neatly penned words still echoing in her mind. As she looked out the window, watching the droplets of rain cling to the glass, she knew it was time to confront the man she had chosen to spend her life with. The sinking feeling clawed at her stomach. How could he keep such a crucial part of himself from her? As she descended the stairs, her heart pounded, timid, unsure, but in desperate need of clarity. She found Mike sitting at the kitchen table, his face buried in his hands, the weight of their unspoken truths crackling in the atmosphere. "Mike," she started, grounding her voice, trying to infuse it with the steadiness she knew she needed. He looked up, his eyes hollow, reflecting the storm brewing within her. "Sarah," he murmured, dropping his gaze. "I wasn't ready for this. I thought shielding you would protect us both." "Protect us? By hiding a part of yourself?" Her voice wavered as she moved closer, forcing him to meet her gaze. "You thought I wouldn't love you any less if I knew? That we'd still be that happy couple?" He flinched at her words, a momentary flash of pain flickering in his eyes. I thought if we could manage together without the burden of my family's wealth, it would be simpler. That you would be proud of us carving our own path. Proud? She repeated incredulously. I am proud of you, Mike. But this isn't just about pride. This is about trust. Honesty. This is about us. Silence hovered heavily between them, both acutely aware of the tenderness fraying at the edges of their union. The unease was almost tangible. Then Mike breathed out a shaky breath. I thought I could protect you from it all, the expectations, the pressure, the people who might be trying to take advantage. His voice broke around the last word, and for the first time, Sarah saw the vulnerability behind his choices. But by shielding me, you've hurt me more than the truth could have, she said softly. What if we face it together? Together, Mike. Isn't that what we promised? He leaned back in his chair, exhaling deeply like a man holding onto his last lifeline. She could see the gears turning in his head, wrestling with the complexity of what she was asking. Sarah, the truth isn't simple. People will have opinions and they will expect things from me, but they're not us. She interjected, meeting his gaze with fierce determination. What they want doesn't define our love. We have to be honest about everything, our struggles, our victories, your past. All of it. As she spoke, a flicker of hope ignited in Mike's eyes. Just a spark in the murky water of fear and uncertainty. You really want to face this? Face who I am? Yes, she replied, the conviction in her voice humming with clarity. If we show up together, they won't tear us apart. They'll see us for who we really are. In that moment, a flood of emotions washed over them, breaking the dam of resentment. There was warmth, but fear mingled in too, a contrast that mirrored the breaking dawn outside. But in her heart, Sarah felt something shift. They could be the heroes of their story, if only they dared to leap together into the unknown. As they locked eyes, Mike's phone buzzed, disrupting the charged moment. He glanced at the screen, his face paling as he read the message. It's my family they want to meet. Her palms grew clammy. What should we do? The storm was far from over, and this felt like the eye of it. Would they dive into the chaos together, hand in hand, ready to peel back layers and face whatever came their way? The weight of destiny pressed upon them, and this time they would have to decide. Would they rise together, or would fear pull them under again? The silence in the kitchen felt like a thick fog, wrapping around them, pressing at their hearts. Mike's fingers played nervously with his phone, thoughts swirling like a tempest. Sarah held her breath, desperately wishing the heaviness between them would dissipate. Mike, we need to talk about this. We can't avoid it anymore, she whispered, trying to break through his fog of doubt. When do they want to meet? He took a moment, staring at the ground as if the answer lay buried in the tiles. Tonight. At dinner. His voice was low, riddled with unease. Tonight? Sarah echoed, her mind racing. That's just hours away. We can't walk into this unprepared. His gaze finally lifted to meet hers, a storm of emotions swirling within. Maybe we don't need a plan. Maybe we just need to be honest. Honest. The word sat heavy in the air. But what does that even look like for you? It means telling them everything, he said, his voice steadying. It means not trying to hide my past or my family's influence. Sarah nodded, her heart racing. Okay. But it also means standing together. No matter what comes our way, we face it as one. A flash of determination sparked in Mike's eyes. A flicker of the man she had fallen in love with. Right. If they see us united, they'll have to respect that. As they brainstormed what to say, Sarah's thoughts lingered on the implications. His family's wealth had shaped Mike into the person he was. But she came to realize it didn't define him. They were more than that, a partnership rooted in trust and understanding. Just promise me this, she said, her voice wavering slightly. If it becomes too much, we take a step back. We don't lose ourselves in this. Agreed. We are in this together, remember? The intimacy of the moment washed over them like a warm blanket. But a spark of anxiety still flickered in Sarah's chest. What if that discussion tore them apart instead of bringing them together? As nightfall approached, Mike paced the living room while Sarah prepared the table, her heart racing with every clatter of dishes. There were books and movies playing out this scene, but the tension between them felt all too real. The clock ticked louder as the minutes crawled by. Each buzz from Mike's phone sent her stomach tightening in knots. Finally, the doorbell rang. They exchanged nervous glances and Sarah felt as though she were standing on the precipice, a single step away from a new, daunting reality. Would they be able to hold on to the love they fought for, or would the shadows of Mike's past overwhelm them? Mike opened the door, revealing his family an array of stern faces, a mixture of curiosity and judgment. They flowed into the house, filling the space with an energy that was both familial and foreign. "Mike!" his mother exclaimed, stepping forward with arms outstretched. "It's been too long. And this must be Sarah." "Hi," Sarah managed to say, forcing a smile, but the warmth didn't quite reach her eyes. As they settled at the dining table and the conversation began, Sarah noticed Mike's tension building again. The questions came, casual but edged with that familiar family scrutiny. His mother's eyes flicked between her son and Sarah, looking for signs of fragility. Then came the moment that everyone seemed to be waiting for, when the focus shifted solely onto Mike. "So, Mike, how are things going in your career?" his father asked, the question laden with unspoken expectations. With a quick glance at Sarah, Mike took a breath that felt like a dive into deep water. "Actually, there is something I need to share with all of you." The room held its breath. Sarah's heart stopped as she realized that the moment of truth had finally arrived. Would they collapse under the weight of Mike's hidden life? Or would honesty forge an unbreakable bond between them? And just as Mike began to speak, the power flickered, plunging them into darkness, leaving them in a silence pregnant with potential. How would this unexpected twist alter the course of their lives? The darkness enveloped them like a blanket, suffocating and heavy. Sarah could barely make out the outlines of the people beside her, but she felt a surge of anxiety rippling through the tension in the air. She could hear Mike's breath hitch beside her, and she reached out instinctively, seeking comfort and strength in his presence. "Mike?" his mother's voice, usually composed, now echoed with uncertainty. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine," Mike stammered, but Sarah could hear the strain behind his words. It was as if the darkness had stolen whatever courage he had mustered just moments before. Just then, the sound of a door creaked open, and in the distance, a sliver of light appeared, perhaps a generously flickering street lamp or a neighbor's window. The shadows of Mike's family loomed closer, silhouettes strained with questions. It was a reminder that everything had changed, and as the darkness lingered, so too did the weight of unspoken truths. "Sarah?" came his father's voice, tinged with concern. "Is everything all right?" We just lost power," she started, but Mike cut her off. "No, it's okay," Mike said, louder than necessary. We were about to talk about something important." The sudden burst of confidence startled Sarah, and she hoped it wouldn't fade as quickly as it had come. With the power out, they were enveloped in vulnerability. Their next words would resonate louder than a glowing room filled with its artificial light. "Right, Mike. Go on," his mother encouraged, her voice strangely softening amid the uncertainty. "Look, I know you all have expectations," he began, and Sarah felt his hand tighten around hers in the dark. "But I need to be honest about the direction my life is taking. I want to do things differently than what's expected of me." His family remained still, the silence stretching out, thickening with anticipation. Sarah could hear the muffled pounding of her own heartbeat in her ears, fearing that any interruption would shatter the fragile space they were in. Mike's breath left him in a rush, but he pressed on. "I've decided I'm not going to take over the family business. I want to follow my own path, even if it means leaving certain things behind." "Leaving behind?" His father's voice was firm, a flash of disappointment sharper than the darkness surrounding them. "What do you mean?" "You know those responsibilities will fall on you one day. This isn't about you. It's about the family legacy." The words lashed through the air, and tension spiked like a wildfire. Sarah held her breath, waiting for Mike to respond. Would he buckle under the pressure or stand firm against the tide? She had to believe in him even now. "Dad, if I'm being honest," Mike hesitated, weighing the impact of his truth. "I want to pursue my passion. I want to start my own company that focuses on something I love, something I believe in." The room erupted into murmurs. Confusion mingled with disbelief. Sarah strained to catch a glimpse of Mike's family in the dim light, their expressions harsh and questioning. "This is a fantasy," his father's voice rose, breaking the tension. "Do you really think you can just walk away?" Sarah felt the heat rising in her chest. He's not walking away, she found herself stating, her voice firm yet tender. He's choosing to live for himself. And I support him. We both want to build a future where we're happy. The intimate truth swept through them, not just Mike's revelation, but their shared commitment. The silence in the room shifted, cracking open like a fragile door ready to reveal so many possibilities. Mike took a deep breath. I need you to understand that this is what I want, and I hope you can all accept that. Would they find a way to understand him, or was this a fatal clash of wills? Just then the lights flickered back on, bathing them in a warm glow. Sarah blinked, momentarily blinded, and as she adjusted to the brightness, she sensed the tension had morphed but hadn't completely disappeared. How would his family react to the man he was choosing to become? The glow from the restored light spilled across the room, illuminating Mike's anxious face and the quiet chaos swirling around them. Sarah watched his family, their expressions a blend of surprise and concern. Mike's mother shifted as if to close the emotional distance, her gentle demeanor contrasting sharply with the earlier tension. Mike, she began, but the words caught in her throat. It was hard to process apparently similar thoughts racing through everyone's minds, forced into the open by the pulse of a sudden epiphany. It's not a fantasy, Mike responded, steadying his voice with resolve. It's my future. He stood taller now, the quaver from earlier smoothed over with determination. I need you to at least hear me out. This isn't just about me not wanting to follow the family business. It's about what makes me. Me. His father rubbed his forehead, an action of frustration or understanding. Sarah couldn't quite decipher it. But you've trained for this your whole life, Mike. We all have. The sacrifices your grandfather made, the sacrifices we all made, Mike interrupted, his voice rising slightly. But that's the point. I don't want to carry a legacy I didn't choose. I want to create my own. The room fell silent again. The very air felt heavy with his words, laden with hope and fear. Sarah could feel the pulse of their family history hanging in the balance. It had been built on expectations and hard work. A burgeoning empire, but at what cost? I can't believe this is happening. Mike's sister finally spoke up, disbelief weaving through her voice. You can't just abandon everything you've known for a dream that's so uncertain. It's not uncertain to me, Mike shot back, passion threading through his tone. What's uncertain is living a life dictated by everyone else's choices. I want to wake up every day excited, not weighed down by obligations. The heat radiating from Mike was palpable, a blaze of conviction that caught Sarah off guard. It was stunning to see him so unrestrained. He was stepping up, digging deep into the roots of who he truly was. Their eyes locked for a brief moment, and in that shared gaze, Sarah felt a shift. Was this the moment they would either break free from the control exerted over them or be mired in family legacy forever? I believe in you, she whispered, hoping the words would reach him through the tumult. The lights now fully illuminated their faces, throwing long shadows against the walls. Mike's father, a larger-than-life figure in the dim light, looked smaller, confused even. Is that what you really want? There was a crack in his tough exterior, an opening where vulnerability could slip through. I want to make something that matters to me, Mike affirmed, his voice softer. Can't you see that? Moments ticked by, stretching like taut strings ready to snap. Sarah felt her heart thumping in sync with the tension, and just when it seemed comprehension might dawn, Mike's mother stepped forward, her expression shifting to remorse. But what if you fail? She asked, her voice trembling like the fragile light in the room. What if you fall and there's no safety net? I'll build my own safety net, he replied, the conviction layering into his voice like armor. Mike's family exchanged glances, a silent conversation filled with worry and trepidation. Was it possible for them to accept his choice? Sarah held her breath, feeling the weight of impending decisions swirl around them. The paths diverged like roads in a forest, and she could sense the urgency building. What will it take to get them to see his truth? She thought. Then, as if snapped back to reality, Mike's father spoke again, his tone measured but thick with emotion. Let us talk, he finally said. Let us see if we can understand each other. Relief and anxiety collided inside Sarah. Was this the beginning of acceptance, or merely a pretense to a deeper conflict? As they sat down around the table, a sense of foreboding settled over the room. Would they truly find common ground, Or were they opening the floodgates to a storm of hurt and misunderstanding? Just then a knock sounded at the door. The interruption jolted them all, signaling they were not alone in this fight. Who could it be at such a crucial moment? The knock echoed through the room, snapping everyone to attention. Mike paused, his breath hitching slightly. He exchanged glances with Sarah, whose brow furrowed in mutual confusion. That single knock unraveled the fragile tension they had just begun to weave back together. "Who was that?" Mike asked, his voice a tentative whisper, as if he feared the answer could unravel everything they had just started to confront. I don't know," his father replied. The man's furrowed brow deepened, revealing an unusual fluster. He stood up slowly, crossing the room to the front door. The weight of the moment pressing on his shoulders, the family sat in silence, anticipation intertwining with uncertainty, as Mike's father turned the knob and swung the door open. A figure stood on the threshold, shrouded in the evening shadows. It was an old friend of Mike's, Alex, someone whose playful charm had always seemed at odds with the seriousness of family expectations. His reputation as a free spirit had always intrigued Mike, but they hadn't spoken in ages. "Hey Mike. Sorry to just drop in like this," Alex greeted, an easy smile on his face. But as he surveyed the tense atmosphere, the grin faltered. "Wow, did I come at a bad time?" Mike's father eased back from the door, confusion morphing into irritation. "We're in the middle of something important here, Alex," he said, the tone edged but weary. "I can see that," Alex replied, his gaze shifting between Mike and his family. "I just thought you could use a friend." Sarah felt a flicker of relief. Maybe Alex's arrival could serve as a much-needed distraction, or perhaps even a lifeline. Mike looked at her, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. "Yeah, I could use one," he said, nodding slowly. Trotting into the room, Alex fell into his usual upbeat rhythm. "I heard about what you were planning, and I couldn't believe it. I had to see you, man." The lightness in his voice was like a balm against the thickening air. "Planning?" Mike's mother questioned, throwing wary glances at Mike. "What do you mean?" Without waiting for permission, Alex plopped down next to Mike, his natural enthusiasm pouring out. "You're not going to follow in your family's footsteps, right? You're going to do what you want. You're following that dream of yours." The immediate tension shifted into something more complex, a budding combination of excitement and dread. Mike could feel the stirrings of support, yet a wave of uncertainty washed over him. Would Alex's carefree spirit be enough to sway his family or spark further conflict? "What do you know about my dream?" Mike shot back, though the edges of his frustration softened slightly. "I know you've always wanted to break out and do your own thing, man. That's what friends are for, you know?" Alex replied, brimming with energy. "Life's too short to live for someone else's dream." His words hung in the air, charged with meaning. Mike's sister crossed her arms, skeptical. "Not everyone can afford to just chase dreams," she said, her voice a sharp counterpoint. "Why not?" Alex shot back unfazed. "What's the worst that can happen? You might fail, or you could soar." Mike's mother remained quiet, her eyes shifting from Mike to Alex, her expression a mix of anxiety and curiosity. Sarah could see a small crack forming in their family's rigid stance, a flicker of intrigue creeping in. Maybe his father started, but the words slipped away as he pondered the weight of the conversation, the patriarchal grip loosening ever so slightly. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, a reminder that time was running out for decisions to be made. Sarah could feel the momentum building, a wave of courage pooling within Mike. Before he could speak, another knock reverberated through the house, louder this time. The sense of urgency tightened around them. The door swung open again, revealing yet another surprise visitor. "Sorry, I saw the light was on," came the voice from the doorway, a familiar voice, one that Mike hadn't heard in years. A voice that could change everything. "Rachel." Mike breathed, his heart racing. What was she doing here after all this time? As confusion etched itself across their faces, Mike felt the air crackle with anticipation. He had no idea what her unexpected arrival could mean for his future, or if it would send everything spiraling back into chaos. Would they finally get the acceptance they desperately wanted? Or would this just add fuel to an already roaring fire? Mike stood frozen at the sight of Rachel, speechless. It had been years since they had last spoken. Their lives had taken such different paths. Memories of their teenage laughter and secrets rushed back so suddenly that he felt lightheaded. She had always been the dreamer, navigating life with a spark he had once admired but never fully understood. "Rachel," he managed to say, his voice barely above a whisper. Her radiant smile caused a flicker of warmth to pulse through the chilly tension in the room. "Mike, I didn't know if you'd be here. I heard about the plans you were making." She paused, glancing at the family members, then added, "and thought I had to see you. Right now?" His sister blurted out, startled. "You just show up out of nowhere?" Rachel brushed her hair back, unfazed. "Look, I know this is unexpected, but I've been trying to catch up with you for a while now. I thought maybe you could use someone who knows you." Mike felt Sarah's hand brushing against his as she tried to steady him. He could see the curiosity in his mother's eyes, while his father looked like he had just faced a surprise detonation. It was all too much, yet here stood Rachel, grounding him in a storm of conflicting hopes and fears. "Rachel, you don't know what's going on here," Mike said, needing to clarify the mess he was in. "I heard whispers about your dream," she replied, her gaze sincere and unwavering. "I didn't know the details, but you've always wanted more. You've always wanted to chase that dream. So what is stopping you?" Her question lingered, cutting through the noise inside his head. Mike glanced at his family, their expressions shifting from confusion to something more akin to contemplation. He needed to seize this opportunity. Perhaps Rachel could help him bridge the gap between the life his family envisioned and the one he wanted. "We were just talking about it," he admitted, taking a breath. "I want to travel, make music, be myself, but they have other plans for me." Rachel nodded, absorbing his words. Family expectations can weigh heavy, she understood. There was solace in her voice that provoked a yearning deep inside him. Mike's father finally broke the silence, his tone cautious. "You think you know him, Rachel? You don't know the burden he carries, the responsibilities he has." Rachel didn't waver. "And those responsibilities, do they make him happy? Or are they holding him back?" Mike felt a spark of hope, the secret sharing his own heart had longed for. He exchanged glances with Sarah. Her encouraging smile made him feel stronger. "Dad, I can't keep living this way," he said, the conviction building like momentum. "I need to try. I'm not just going to be someone else's legacy." "But if you fail?" his mother asked, her voice thick with worry. "What then?" Maybe Mike hesitated, the future seemed so unclear. "Maybe I need to find out." As he spoke, Alex quietly cheered him on. "See? Just like I said, man, life's too short." Rachel's eyes sparkled with excitement. "And if you soar? Just think about it." In that moment the room felt electrified. Yet the weight of expectations loomed, ready to crush the fragile network of support forming around him. Mike could feel breaths holding collectively, hopes balancing on the edge of what could be. The air thickened as another knock sounded, spiking unresolved tensions once more. "Who could that be?" said Sarah, wide-eyed. "Maybe it's another surprise," Mike mused, his heart racing. But instead of fading fear, a flicker of anticipation ignited within him. Perhaps this was meant to be. A strange turn of fate guiding him toward that life he craved. As the door began to open again, Mike held his breath, steeling himself for whatever came next. Would it bring him closer to his dreams, or shatter the delicate hope they had just built? The door creaked open slowly, revealing a tall figure cloaked in shadows from the hallway. As the light poured into the room, Mike's heart sank, the mixture of surprise and fear washing over him. It was his cousin Jake. He had always been the wild card in the family, known for his unpredictable entrances. "Hey everyone," Jake said. His voice light, but a hint of mischief lingered in the air. "What's with the family meeting? Did I miss the memo?" Mike took a moment to process this new disruption, glancing back at Rachel, who was now looking at Jake with a mixture of curiosity and concern. This wasn't the distraction he wanted, not when he was finally starting to unravel the threads of who he wanted to be. "We were just discussing some personal things," Mike managed, feeling the hope dwindling as awkwardness curled around the room like smoke. "Personal things?" Jake echoed back, grinning broadly. "Those my favorite kind. Spill it." He leaned against the doorframe, clearly unaware of the intensity of the conversation that had been happening before his arrival. As Mike's family exchanged glances, Rachel broke the tension. "Actually, we were just talking about Mike's dreams, what he really wants." She smiled at him, a spark of reassurance igniting inside him. Jake's eyebrows shot up, shifting his attention back to Mike. Oh, now that sounds serious. What kind of dreams are we talking about? Winning the lottery? Starting a band? Moving to some tropical paradise? Actually, Mike started, his voice firm now. I want to make music. I want to see the world, be myself. But he paused, gauging his father's increasingly agitated stance against his mother's worried frown. I'm stuck under expectations that aren't mine. The laughter faded from Jake's face. Wow, man. Why didn't you say something sooner? You could have had me backing you up this whole time. He stepped into the room, his demeanor shifting. Don't underestimate how far a little rebellion can go. Mike felt a wave of confusion roll over him. You think it's that simple? Why not? Jake shrugged. You're strong, you've got talent. Look at it this way, every time you do what you think you should do instead of what you want, you lose a little piece of yourself. And honestly, who wants to deal with that? Before Mike could respond, Rachel interjected, but Jake, it's not just that. There are people Mike loves, responsibilities he feels he must uphold. It's not easy to just walk away. Jake's shoulders dropped slightly. I get that. But being tied down can feel suffocating at times, right? Sometimes you gotta break free. You only live once. Mike considered Jake's words. The room was heavy with emotions, and that familiar yearning clawed at him. Maybe Jake had a point. The thought of breaking free made something inside him glow. Just then, his father cleared his throat, shifting the focus. Jake, this isn't just about Mike wanting to travel. This is about family and obligations. We've worked hard for what we have, and we expect him to respect that. The weight of the words pressed down on Mike like a physical force. But does respecting it mean sacrificing my dreams? He countered, emotion surging through him. Before anyone could respond, he glanced back at Rachel and saw a spark of understanding in her eyes. This moment wasn't just about them or his family. It was about fighting for something he cared about. It was about living fully, honestly. Suddenly, another knock echoed through the house. Each person turned toward the door, the atmosphere thick with anticipation once more. Who else could be arriving? As Mike braced himself, one clear thought slipped into his mind. Whatever lies beyond that door could change everything. Would it guide him closer to the freedom he craved? Or would it plunge him deeper into the chaos he was trying to escape? The second knock was louder, and it jolted Mike from his thoughts. The moment hung in the air, caught between anticipation and dread. He exchanged quick glances with Rachel. Both of them felt it, the uncertainty wrapped tightly around their hearts. His father's irritation turned into curiosity. Who could possibly be visiting now? He muttered, shifting his weight from one foot to the other, clearly agitated. I'll get it, Mike said, trying to muster the courage that felt so elusive in the moment. As he walked toward the door, each step felt heavier, his pulse quickening. More than just visitors, this felt like the potential for upheaval. When he opened the door, it wasn't just any visitor, it was Aunt Linda, Jake's mother. The warm light from the hallway spilled around her, illuminating the concerned lines on her face. She was breathless, her hair tousled as if she'd rushed over. Linda, what's going on? His mother asked, moving forward. The room shifted with an air of confusion and rising tension, all eyes now on her. Is Mike here? Linda asked, her voice shaking slightly. Mike felt a chill race down his spine as she locked eyes with him. I need to talk to you. Alone. What could she possibly want? A million questions buzzed in his mind, and an unsettling feeling settled in his stomach. He glanced at Rachel. Her expression mirrored his unease, but she offered him an encouraging nod as if to say, you can handle this. Sure, Mike replied cautiously. He led Aunt Linda out of the room and into the quieter hallway. The whispers of his family faded behind him, leaving only the soft creak of the floorboards beneath their feet. Once they were out of earshot, Linda turned to him, her face serious. Mike, I know this isn't the best time, but I'm worried about Jake. There's something you need to know, something about the family. What about Jake? Mike asked, feeling a knot tighten. Is he in trouble? Not exactly trouble, she said, fidgeting with her ring. But he's been hiding something. Something significant. It's why he showed up today, why he's been so different lately. Every word sent pricks of anxiety down Mike's spine. What do you mean? Just tell me. Linda took a deep breath, her eyes darting momentarily as if she was weighing how much to reveal. He's not the same guy he used to be. He has been successful. More successful than any of us realized. Successful? Mike was confused. What do you mean? Yes, well, let us just say he has been running a business. A very lucrative business. All this time he has been a millionaire. What she said hit Mike like a freight train. The laughter, the wild stories, those were all masks then? A millionaire? He repeated, trying to wrap his mind around it. And he didn't tell anyone? Linda's expression faltered. He has been doing this on his own, trying to find his place. And now he feels lost. There's more at stake than you realize, Mike. You all are a lot closer than you think. The news sent a wave of confusion and anger bubbling to the surface. Jake, the guy who joked and pulled pranks, was hiding this huge part of himself? Why would he feel lost? It felt like a cruel twist. The shadows from the hallway now loomed larger, echoing the uncertainties swirling in Mike's mind. What should I do? His heart raced, torn between the family he needed to support and the rebellious dreams he yearned to chase. Find him. Talk to him. You both need each other, Linda urged, her gaze intense as Mike nodded. A thought struck him with sharp clarity. What if Jake's journey became part of his own? What if he could find a path that didn't mean sacrificing his dreams, but rather looping them together? He stepped back towards the room, determination brewing in his chest. The imminent conversation with Jake felt heavier now, filled with unknowns and possibilities. What had always been a simple dream was now tangled in layers of responsibility and ties he hadn't seen before. As he re-entered the room, the weight of his choices hung in the air. Would Jake reveal more about his hidden life? And what did that mean for Mike's own path? Before he could speak, he noticed Rachel staring intently across the room as another knock echoed, this time softer but more urgent. Do you think it could be another surprise? She whispered, catching Mike just as his heart began to race again. The question lingered, answers eluding him in the growing shadow of uncertainty. Who stood waiting at that door? And how would this encounter ripple through the chaos of their lives? Mike turned toward the door yet again, every knock now amplifying the tempest of emotions swirling inside him. With each heartbeat, he felt the weight of expectations, love, and uncertainty pulling him in different directions. The fabric of his world was about to be pulled tighter, or perhaps frayed apart entirely. He braced himself, opening the door slowly, revealing a familiar face framed by the night. It was Aunt Linda again, but behind her stood Jake, his cousin. The tension released slightly within him at the sight. Maybe this was fate pulling them all together. Jake, Mike said, surprise blending with relief. I need to talk to you. Their eyes locked, Jake's expression a mix of mischief and vulnerability. You ready to face the music? Mike nodded resolutely as he stepped aside to allow Jake into the house. Sarah, Rachel, and others fell silent, watching the unspoken exchange between the two cousins. The air buzzed with curiosity. I heard some interesting news about you, Mike started, and Jake's eyes widened. Linda told me you've been keeping secrets. Is it true? Are you a millionaire? The room seemed to inhale sharply. Jake looked a bit sheepish but nodded. Guilty as charged. I didn't want to make it public. It's complicated. Complicated? Mike echoed. You just walked into a family meeting about pursuing dreams. Aren't we all in this together? You could have shared this. Jake rubbed the back of his neck, the carefree bravado faltering. I guess I was afraid of how you all would react. I've seen family legacy beat down so many people. I just wanted something for myself, away from the expectations. A spell of silence enveloped the room, weighing heavily yet bringing a glimmer of clarity. Realization struck Mike they were all navigating the same storm, fighting against the currents of family legacy, duty, and love. Jake, that's exactly what I feel too, Mike admitted, turning introspective. I want my own path, my own success, whatever that looks like. We can't keep carrying the past like an anchor. Maybe we could lean on each other. The words slipped from his lips, instinctively woven with truth. The atmosphere shifted. Tension deepened into heightened awareness. Everyone around them was tuning in, sensing the need for connection rather than distance. You mean that? Jake asked, vulnerability cracking through his bravado. You'd want to support me? After all my mishaps? Of course. We're family. Mike exclaimed, his heart racing. We should be lifting each other instead of pulling apart. Besides, I want your help, Jake. I want to work with you, maybe even combine our dreams. Their eyes met, and in that shared gaze a pact formed. This was about family, purpose, and weaving their unique aspirations together rather than letting them drift separately. The room felt electric. Sarah, Rachel, and Mike's parents stood as silent but constant witnesses to this new chapter brewing between the cousins. "Then let us do it," Jake declared, his voice stronger now, filled with a newfound clarity. "Let us break free together." Mike felt warmth blooming in his chest. "Yes, we find a way to make this work, our dreams. Our future's a family united in ambition." Cheers erupted, a wave of excitement washing over them. It was invigorating, like stepping into sunlight after a storm. As laughter and conversation flickered back to life, Mike's parents began to break down their stern postures, eyes softening as they took in their son's heartfelt camaraderie. Aunt Linda smiled, almost as if she had believed all along that this moment could take place. It was Sarah who finally spoke, her voice whispering through the bustling atmosphere. "And what about us? We can face the challenges of life hand in hand. That's our promise, right?" "Yes," Jake nodded, glancing over at Rachel and Sarah too. "We all want to find our place without losing ourselves in the shadows." The vibe shifted again, sharper. This was the moment they could either let fear bind them together or take a leap of faith toward love toward each other. The realization hung in the air like an anthem of hope. Mike took a deep breath, his heart soaring. What if they could shape the story of their own lives together? As they began to brainstorm dreams and plans, laughter threading life into their discussions, a sense of liberation enveloped them all. The power of their truth dismantled chains of apprehension, slowly weaving a tapestry of understanding where once fear had reigned. The worries about reputation, of making choices to please everyone else, melted into the promise of pursuing what brought them joy. Outside, the wind picked up, stirring the trees as if echoing the shared excitement within. It was a harbinger of something new. "We will figure things out," Mike asserted with a newfound intensity. "And it doesn't have to be done alone." As the cheers erupted again, Mike felt lighter than air. The experience with his family didn't just open doors but offered a new sense of unity that transcended legacy or dreams. It formed a bond thicker than water, born of shared struggles, triumphs, and the solid truth of love. This was their new beginning. Now it's your turn. If you loved this story, do not wait another second. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel, so you won't miss the next big transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. The time is now to show your support. Comment below your feelings about this ending. And don't forget, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to witness this inspiring journey. You know, only true fans truly understand how critical these actions are. Don't hold back. Let us spread this message far and wide.